We didn't say a word to each other the whole walk across the park. I mean, it was like a 45-minute walk. We didn't say one word, and we never discussed it the rest of our lives.
Subscribe to the podcast, KFC Radio on YouTube.
Bang.
Fine.
That felt like a genuine fine. Just like fine.
Well,
not great, not bad, just fine.
I'll save it the show.
Yeah, well, let's just go. Let's do it. Why are you feeling fine?
No, I was saying rather than, the new enthusiasm that I hate in society. Where everybody's like,
Great.
Stoked.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off.
I'm usually a fine guy.
You are?
And I've gone the other way. People ask me how I'm doing. I say fantastic all the time. It's a lie.
Oh, you're not
Guess
doing
what?
fantastic at all.
No, but it's the way to be.
Yeah, well.
One of the stupidest movies, and it's so funny, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I read an interview with Jack Nicholson in 1985, and in it he goes, they said, do you have any regrets in your career? In like 1985, And he's like, I regret that I was honest in interviews. He goes, the only stupid thing I ever did was not, he goes, I thought people wanted to see real, honest. He goes, I would never do that again. I remember when he got in trouble for some saying Coke is not bad for everybody. Right. He was right. In those days, he was right. Some people can handle it. But it was people were outraged.
I think people do want to hear it. I think if it for you, the person doing the interview, it's crazy to be honest.
Right.
That's like the audience, I think, does appreciate a good interview.
Well, but to a degree, yes. But a lot of people like bullshit. I mean, I'm quoting my mother, my late great mother, Gail, and she used to say, people are attracted to bullshit.
Yeah.
She goes, people love bullshit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, people get tricked by bullshit. Because she goes, no, people want bullshit.
Want it. Yeah.
And
even if they don't realize it,
to a certain extent, I feel like that's the way it is.
Yeah.
If you go out, you're just like showbiz, like
put on
fantastic, everything's great. Mm-hmm. Like I used to think it was just the opposite. People don't want that. They like make fun of that, but it's got to be both. In some way.
I think in comedy, it's probably making fun of that. I think if you're like fucking Ryan Seacrest or you're like on the Today Show or whatever, just like smile and shake hands and make $50 million a year.
But even in comedy, there's certain elements of it that sometimes you're like,
Yeah. I think that people sometimes take a little too much pride in like not being that way when it's like just fucking.
Well, that too.
Like you're not some.
Well, now we're getting into a dangerous area. Now it's turning into an attack on me. Let's change the subject.
But see, you have it where like now, like it is.
You can do that.
Like if you
I can do that because I have a voice.
Like, fuck off.
Even if I'm not real, my voice sounds like a guy that doesn't give a fuck.
Yes, that is so true. Your look and voice is perfect.
Well, I don't know what the look had to enter.
Yeah, no, I think there are some people who are like, think that they're like going to war by being anti like bullshit. It's like,
you're right.
Like
I agree.
we're being a little bit dramatic here.
Yeah.
But so the synopsis of your new show is kind of a similar topic.
Yeah.
The small talk, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is cool because I love the like the one sentence sum up was like so perfect in two ways. One saying the only thing you're good at, the one thing you're great at is having a good personality.
Right.
And the small talk from like friends and family down to like the mailman and people in the street.
And national small talk too. What we were just talking about, which is a national.
Right. Yeah. I think that's
dialogue
awesome because
considered acceptable.
There was some point where it became like hacky and cliche to make fun of small talk, and it's like, just do the small talk, man.
Right.
That's how the world runs. Just fucking, just be normal and say hi and goodbye and talk about the weather and
That's right. Yeah, right. Being ironic about it is fine, but it's like it's a luxury.
To a point, it's like shut up, So that I think that like nails it on the head right there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it is. It's interesting that like anything else, the more you think about it, the more you like almost go into. It's a good thing I'm not a conspiracy type person because once you start going into a rabbit hole, you're like, wait a minute, this actually connects to this. And it does. Luckily, it's only for comedy's purposes with me. But if I was, just a slightly different genetic, neurological thing, I'd be like, holy shit, that makes sense. So it is weird,
Do you go out of your way to do like I am the exact opposite of someone who's like I hate small talk. I do small talk all the fucking time. I go out of my way to like be like incredibly nice to people. It seems like that's what you do with the synopsis we read here. Where you're talking about like counter people and things like that. Like
yes,
I'm
the cashier
big,
and the
have a great day guy. Mm-hmm. Like I'll say goodbye to everyone. We were talking to Soder about it, where Soder's like. Talking about how his girlfriend gets so annoyed because he has to talk to everyone in the lobby, to make sure. Like, I'm just trying to make one motherfucker's day.
And I keep putting up with this guy, Right, and it's then I feel self-conscious that I didn't say goodbye to someone. And
Yes,
I
yes.
said good night too. Oh, I also, you have a good night also. Me too. I mean it also.
Yep.
His counts for me.
I don't say good night. I say you have a great night.
Great night.
No, I'm one of those people who talks to everybody.
Yeah.
All the time.
Which is funny because I would bet if you asked comedy fans, I think they would maybe think the opposite of you. That
Yeah,
you're like
a lot of
like
people.
you're
Do,
more
it's
like-
funny you said that
Yeah.
because one time,
Because you're an
Because of
asshole.
your look.
This guy came up
Because
to
of
me.
your
Yeah.
look.
This guy came up to me and he goes, "Hey man, I used to think you're a dick, but now I think you're a cool guy." And I was like, "Yeah, well, the reverse with how I feel about you."
Yeah. I don't think people get when they're saying that. We get that a ton. Like, there's a bunch of people on the internet who hate on us a lot.
Right,
and then when we go out and do shows, they're like, I don't get why so many people hate you. I like you. And I'm like, you could have just said the second part. You don't need that first part. I say that over and over again. You don't need the first part. Whatever your disclaimer is, you don't
Yes.
need to say it.
Yes.
You know? I
No.
think you guys are great and nobody else agrees. But
Right.
hey, you know? Fuck, man. Why'd you say that?
That's like if I do a show and somebody come up to me after the show and I think it went good. And he's like, "I thought you were funny."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, thanks." The lone
Nobody
voice.
else?
The
Yeah.
brave lone voice.
I was in the room. I heard the laughs. Other people said it. Like, you don't have to put yourself on an island here.
Yeah, no, it's
I
true.
think you're funny. That is great stuff.
But you're right.
So that first part, what was the exact line? Like, the one thing I'm great at is having a good
Personality.
personality. Yeah, I think that is the most important thing in the world. You know, having personality.
Well, it's funny.
But
you
it
say
also
that.
sucks when it's like. But I wouldn't mind having some of the other stuff too. I wouldn't mind, having all the other tall, good-looking, handsome, whatever. But if you're gonna pick one, I think I would pick personality.
Yeah, no, I always say you better be, if you want to be successful, you have to either be able to count really high or you better have a great personality.
There you go, man.
Yeah, but it is interesting personality because like you said, once you get into any of this, I mean, what you guys do every day, this is personality,
Yeah.
and if you can't force it because if you try to force it, it just reads weird. Like it is like if you try to be some exciting person or try to be some more than you are, it just never works.
And for whatever reason, everybody can tell it a mile away.
Yeah, yes.
Even just like regular people who aren't, experts at any of
That's
this
right.
shit, they can just hear it and see it in
They
your
can
body
feel
language.
it.
It's like, that guy's lying.
That, by the way, that's one of the worst things about the internet and the funniest things is people pick up, and here's what you do: you go down, read comments, and you're like, "Oh, I mean comments, yeah, that was great. You get like 5 in a row. You're like, I love comments. People
I'm the
are cool.
best.
And then one little one, you're like, I kept going. I got greedy. I should have stopped at
Flew
5.
too close to the sun, man. and the people who are nice, you forget about, or they're just like, hey, you're funny. The people who are mean say the one thing about
That's
your
right. Well,
I
your
think that's our
appearance
narcissism coming through. Because
You
when
think
someone
so? Yeah.
when someone says you're funny, I'm like, yeah, I fucking know.
Yeah.
When someone says
You don't need to tell me
when
that.
someone says you're not funny, like, oh, I know. Like it's a very different reaction. Like, you're right. That's what I meant. That's what I knew so deep down in my heart.
Very Irish.
Very Irish. Yeah, that is the struggle, man. That
Yeah, we got 3 red faces here, so
Yeah,
that
for real.
makes sense.
But it is interesting because that what social media brought out in everybody, which I'm also thinking about in this show, is the fact that everybody's like, wait a minute, I'm claiming my place too. So I'm, not just comments.
My
I'm
spot.
a person too.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
interesting to watch all of us become these other personalities, and so small talk is also about small talk, but about it's really about personality.
Yeah,
The show is
yeah.
about personality, and it's really interesting once you get into it. And national personality, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
About our national personalities as a country.
What do you think that is?
Well, I mean,
I don't want to give away the show.
I'm giving away the show. That's just how it goes. One of it is
Just do it for us now.
well, I'll just go to the end part. I'll leave out the other parts. But where we are now as a personality is in the age of penance, the reformed party boy, who's just like, I am heartily sorry for all
Yes,
the things I've
everything.
committed.
Yeah,
Sackcloth and ashes. So that's basically where we're at now. I talk about the other parts.
What do you think's next?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Because I think then the pendulum just keeps going back and forth, and like.
but people say
people
that,
are
but
getting
does it, or does it get worse?
Just
Because
keep
throughout my life,
going.
I've always told people it's going to turn back, and I was always
hasn't.
wrong so far.
Yeah.
I remember telling people in 2002, believe me, everybody's done with this political correct stuff.
Oh my god!
I was not the- I
In
was not the-
2002, I would kill for 2002.
I
right
was
now.
not the wisest
Yeah.
prognosticator.
Right.
But I mean,
I think the biggest difference is social media, though, because I just. It's just not normal and
No,
natural
it's-
for people to have that much interaction and connection.
It is. It made me anti-free speech.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And like if everyone has a voice, well, everyone shouldn't have a voice.
No.
I think
The
I think I've
majority.
come around, like,
The majority shouldn't.
we should have like 10 people who are allowed to talk.
Yeah.
that's right.
And I'm not one of them.
I
by
would
the way.
vote in Colin as one of
Colin-
them.
Colin-
I really
Colin's
think
a
you'd
vote.
be one
Guys,
of
I
them.
appreciate it.
I would listen to.
I'd like to be the only. I'd like to be in charge of Twitter if he's giving away that job.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So this fucking guy, he by the way has reached full levels of Trump, where if you even talk about him, you get bombarded with people who are either defending him or think that you're attacking him, the
Right.
left, the right. I was like, I'm just talking about the guy.
Right.
I didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly think he's just making up controversies, whether it's doxing people and the GPS and the jets, or
Assassination coordinates.
assassination coordinates, or the not being able to cross promote on Twitter. He makes these decisions that he knows are dumb and controversial, and then he puts up a poll on Twitter. And then he says, "Look, it's a democracy. It's the greatest democracy on earth because I let the people decide. I just drum up fake controversy and I let you vote about it. And now we're the greatest free speech, platform in the world. But it's all just dumb things he's making up.
Yeah, I find him to be the neediest loser to ever exist.
$100 billion and you're the
Everything
biggest
is-
fucking
'cause
loser.
I think this actually kind of perfectly ties in with small talk, where I think if you don't have personality, it's the one thing you want.
can't buy.
And
I also think you can't buy it. You can't fake
like,
it. Yeah.
The one thing Elon Musk can't have is a personality.
Well, isn't he like autistic or something?
I was going to say
Yeah.
he's a loser and he's autistic. Those are two separate things.
But to take the other side of this, is it not true what he said about being social media being like whatever you're saying, like that they were banning people more on the right than on the left?
I think
I
that's
would
what
imagine
it seems
so.
to
I
be
would
the case.
imagine
so. Yeah, so I mean,
yeah. No, that seems
Maybe,
to almost
you know
be
what I
black
mean?
and white with
Yeah.
all
It's
the
like the
evidence
old
they're putting
joke
out.
about the guy, the hypochondriac that dies, and goes, "I told you I was sick."
But I mean, he, as a guy who's funny,
Right.
and has been around a lot of people who try to be funny,
Right.
and a very few amount of people make it.
Sure.
There's nothing worse than a guy trying to be funny who's just not meant. Like, be brilliant. Like,
Right, be
you've already,
yourself.
You've already done your thing.
Yeah.
You've put fucking spaceships out there and shit. Like, be that guy.
Right.
But people love the funny, and the girls love the
Yeah,
funny. And,
people love to be funny.
and you usually love what you're not.
And
like,
I always, I never understood it because I was funny, if nothing else. Like you said,
Right.
you want all the other qualities, but I mean, I was literally the guy where they'd go, the pitch would go, hit it to center field. He's got no arm.
Right.
No arm. No matter how I tried, I had no arm.
Right.
And there's nothing more infuriating than no arm.
It's so true.
'Cause
When
you
you're
can't.
watching a professional ball game and like a guy's rounding second, rounding third, coming home, and you're like, we're gonna get him at the plate, and you see the throw, and it's like five hopping to the plate. You're
No
like,
arm.
what the fuck was that, man?
It was just
I had the same thing but in hockey, I had no shot. I was really good at everything else.
Oh, good.
I couldn't shoot the fucking puck. That's kind of important. It's a hugely important piece.
Well, that's the other thing. If you don't have an outside shot in basketball, even if you play great, they all back up and let you shoot.
That is the most emasculating thing in the world.
Yes.
And they say it. They're like, he ain't got no jumper. Leave him out there. It's like, and then you
backs
try
off
it.
on you.
Oh.
When
And
Ben
then you
Simmons was on the
just- and if you-
Sixers,
When you're a professional when that happens on the playground, that hurts your feelings.
Yes.
When you're a professional and
dude,
they're doing it to you,
there were
oh
pictures
my
of Ben
God.
Simmons. Like no one was even at the foul line.
No one's on the TV screen. No other defenders on the TV.
Well, how about the poor guy yesterday? He's like, okay, it's the last play of the game. What could happen with the Patriots?
Oh God.
What could happen? He's
That-
like, hey,
I'm so happy, by the way, as a Jets fan.
The second Ramondre threw it back to Jacoby, I was like,
the
this
first
is disaster.
Yo, he deserves more fucking hate than he's
Ramondre?
getting. Yes.
Yeah.
That started the whole goddamn circus.
It was. I mean,
That was,
it was
as a Jets fan who has had to hear about the butt fumble for the last 12 years.
yes.
That's dethroned, brother.
Dude, I think
brother, that is
butt
gone.
fumble's now third most embarrassing play in NFL history. I actually
Colts?
don't think we're one. I think one's Colts.
I don't know, man. That was
The Colts.
well, the
Colts
Colts
fake punt.
Have
it
you
was
ever
against
seen
the
it?
Pats?
Oh,
it
what
was.
What years are from?
It's
It was.
probably like
I would say
4 years
20. I would say 2016. I would guess.
Oh, no, that was in Flacco, too, was it?
No, this is the Colts. This was McAfee. McAfee got they called a fake punt. That
Wait
is
a minute.
just the
Let
worst
me just say how
play.
old I am. When you said Colts, I thought of Baltimore immediately. That's how old I am. I'm like,
So
good
what, I think the problem with this one is they thought they were doing. It's
This is
a
called
planned
play,
play. Yeah. So they all run over there.
It's a cool play.
Yeah, until you see what happens though. And they just
What happened? He had the ball?
Yeah, they lined everybody up, didn't block them. They're snapping the ball here like normal, but everyone else
Oh,
is over
no, I
here.
didn't
Yeah. So the Patriots just stood there waiting, and as soon as he
They
snapped the
just
ball,
tackled
tackled
him.
him.
Was that the coach?
Because there's nobody defending,
had to be
nobody
the coach.
blocking.
That is.
You know?
That had to be the coach.
So that's the thing is that's Jacoby Myers was
That's-
like
that's-
frazzled in the
Did they
moment.
fire that coach? Was that-
He had. I mean, eventually they should have
I
fired
think-
him
I
right
think the
then.
Colts-
That's
had
one of the
4 coaches
greatest
since
plays
then.
I've ever.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm blaming Belichick for that play yesterday.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't like
I'm
the
with
fact
that.
that automatically people are like, Belichick had nothing to do with it. I'm
Yeah,
just-
fuck that.
Yeah,
I
fuck
see
that.
what you're
He's
saying.
usually actually, for a guy who usually gets all the credit
Yes.
for everyone always being prepared for every play and
Yes.
everything. Where was that?
I'm telling you, he was on the sidelines probably going, Jacoby.
throw it.
I agree that Belichick is always like it's a well coached team, but like there are some things where it's just
This
like
team's not.
no, that's what I know.
Yeah.
But there are some things where it's just like I don't know, man. Like don't go off sides. You're
Yeah.
a professional athlete.
Right. Do I
teach
have
you-
to explain that to you? Yeah.
And you're right. Belichick did probably get too much credit for that when it's like during practice he makes them run a lap if they go offside.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. That probably doesn't really matter much.
But wait a minute. Speaking of offsides, what happened in that game yesterday, the World Cup? What does offsides mean in soccer? I don't even understand what it means.
If you are behind the last defenseman when the ball is kicked. So you can be like, say Kevin's the last defenseman. If my teammate has the ball, as soon as he kicks it, I can run past him. But
It
basically think about
it prevents
like
cherry picking.
Only
It
the
prevents
blue line
somebody from
moves.
just staying, way back, so you can just kick him the ball and score. So you got to move with the defense, so it prevents you from
I
just
felt
hanging
bad
back.
for that goalie.
Dude, I
He
feel.
was the backup.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think I
didn't
knew
know
that.
that. Wow.
Yeah.
That whole game, man, that was. I said if soccer was like that every day, I'd watch it all the fucking time. But it's so rare. I mean, that was like a screw.
Those,
That was
those
a
clips
movie,
of
man.
Argentina afterwards were fucking insane.
What happened?
The
All
city
the-
of
the
Argentina.
videos of Buenos Aires.
Oh, it was the best.
It was
I mean,
fucking.
the whole fucking country.
Yeah.
In the streets, partying, and then meanwhile, do you know the comedian Sam Talent?
Who?
Sam Talent. Do you know him? He was in Paris yesterday, and he was like, "This city's gonna burn down." Like, there's nothing quite like the losing side. I was almost like, "You're witnessing one of the most interesting things on the planet right now." Like the winning party is whatever
Yes, the losing party is interesting.
the country
Like, oh,
that
they won
just
last time, what do they care?
lost. Yeah, that is true.
Greedy bastards.
but also you had your star got a hat trick and you scored
Yes.
so late and you came back twice and then you lose and you just drink yourself to death. I think.
Macron was up there.
What's that?
Macron was at the game.
There was after Mbappe's
Hugging
second
him,
goal,
right? He was,
I
like,
think they
consoling
him.
him.
They cut away from him too fast. I think he was about to do a wild dance. He
Oh,
had
yeah?
one hand up and was like going like this. I was like, I think he's about to take his shirt off.
Even the French coach is stylish.
I
You
know.
See him the way he looks.
Yeah, they
He
have a
looks-
look to him. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
The best, I think one of the best tweets I ever seen was that American football coaches dress like high school dropouts. European football coaches dress like Bond villains.
It's very true.
That's a good one.
It is very true.
I got a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
I got a big bone to pick with you.
Whoa.
Buddy, buckle up.
We had our good pals, newly good pals in here recently, Nickelback. And we asked them, what's the etymology of the hate?
I know.
You know it's a tough crowd?
Oh, yeah? No, I heard about it. I heard it. I didn't hear about it at the time. I heard about it years later.
Years later, yeah.
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you.
That is true. It's not your fault. It's your
not my
fault by
fault.
proxy.
You gave them a platform call.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't know.
platformed the hate.
I didn't even know.
You were spreading hate. Cancel Colin.
I had never heard a Nickelback song. Remember, I'm old. I didn't know Nickelback song at the time when he said Nickelback, but it did become a thing. And here's how I know it was a thing, because, you guys will tell me what they said, but a couple of years later, I was doing these colleges with these young comedians. and about 3 different times I noticed different comedians in front of the college crowd made a Nickelback
joke.
Yeah, I was like, that's bad for these guys.
Yeah, but well, that's not good for these guys. If you're a Nickelback, you don't like that. It is. At the end of the day, they sold like 100 million records, so I don't
Since
think it
then?
really. They are massively popular.
fine. Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things. I don't know if I had the balls to say it to them when they were in here, because I think I think it's one of those, like, I think this is actually a good thing, and I think they would tell you, like, no, it's fucking not. It sucked getting.
We've had so many, like we said about comments.
Right.
We had to put up with bullshit.
Right. I do think that it kept their name, like, they
Out
were
there.
always
That matters.
and I think they were able to. They actually now embraced it, and they kind of make fun of it with people, and so now they love it. But I'm sure there was a time from like 2002 to 2010 that they were like, "Fuck."
Yeah, they were like, it sucked every interview being like, "So the world hates you, huh?"
Yeah.
You're like, "Yeah, I guess so."
And I guess the problem, the joke was on the commercial. That was the problem.
Yes.
Because the show, like, it would have been whatever, but it was running Comedy Central every
absolutely.
second.
I think they
of
said like
the
7
day.
months, like just like
Because I didn't even realize that until this year.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, that comment really had an effect.
Yeah, no,
I didn't
it was
realize.
a commercial.
Yeah.
So, like,
It was the fucking
I mean,
commercial.
and you got to think early 2000s is when Comedy Central's cooking, right? So
Yes.
people are tuning in for you and
Chappelle's
Chappelle
on.
and the stand-up, and you see the commercials.
Oh my
South
God,
Park,
you're right.
And it's just that commercial after you're watching Chappelle, and South Park, and every single commercial break is a Nickelback joke about how people want to kill Nickelback.
Oh my God.
That is.
I swear, I would have probably tried to help them take it down.
really.
In the
not
moment,
that
if
I
they
had-
said something,
I don't know if I would have had the power, but I mean,
Yeah,
if somebody
yeah.
had told me, I probably would have said, "Yeah, leave him alone, man." Because you know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah,
a band.
yeah.
you
It's
just
also
wanna
it's such a, like, whatever joke, you know. It's not like
no
the greatest joke you've ever heard, but it really resonated.
People are always looking for a band to embody what they want to attack.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean? So in the old days, people would be like, "Hey, these new kids on the block," but that was
Sure.
a different vibe.
Sure, yeah,
New kids on the block,
yeah.
almost they would expect it. They were for little kids. But Nickelback, yeah, I'm sure they were like before that. Creed, remember that
Creed,
guy?
I was gonna, and they are, I believe, 1 and 2 in albums sold in like the 2000s. So it's like,
Even in the past 15 years.
I don't know about now, but like from 2000
that's
to
what I'm saying,
2010.
but I
So
wonder-
it's like, yeah, if it keeps up, it's sometimes that no such thing as bad publicity is true, but it also probably just sucks for you as a person. It's
Of
like,
course
I'd rather
it
have my
sucks.
publicity be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like we're talking about with the oh my God, they must have got destroyed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even though it's really, I had nothing to do with it, they probably want to stab me.
I'm sure. I'm
There's
sure
no
they
way they
hate
don't.
your
They probably
fucking
hate me more than the
guts.
guy that said it.
Yeah, no, because there's no way they remember. It was Brian Fo. I don't know how to say his name.
Right.
They know it was Colin Quinn. They know.
Yeah, that's
you know,
all. Yeah.
They probably have fucking voodoo dolls. of
Oh
you at
yeah.
home.
Every concert, they're like, by the way, everybody, there's a
Colin
piece
Quinn."
of shit that recently came out as a pro-Nazi. Colin Quinn. The crowd's like, what? Really? They don't know why they hate me. They're just like,
We got to get you guys in a room together. I mean, they were very cool guys, and they are
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I
massively
feel
successful
terrible.
still. And they play along with it now, and they get like they're in on the joke, but. I think they would have a good time. Like, they would rib you for sure.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
it sounds like one of those ideas that you think of and you're like, that's a good idea. Then
And then it
halfway through,
crashes and
why
burns
the fuck
miserably.
Did we do this?
What's the worst idea you've ever been a part of?
Me?
Yeah. Like something stupid like that. Some producers are like, we're going to get this guy and this guy. We're going to do this special or whatever it is. And then it happens and it was like the worst thing ever.
Well, I'll have to think about that. But David Spade had a joke once about when they were doing Blues Brothers 2000, and he was doing that Hollywood Minute thing on SNL, and there was Blues Brothers 2000. Remember?
Yeah.
They were at the Super Bowl, and he goes, "That's not something you do. That's something you get high and talk about doing."
yes. Don't execute those things. Just laugh at them in the moment and fucking leave them there.
You should open a bar, dude. Like that kind of thing.
Exactly that, man. That's hilarious. I noticed they refer to small talk as a stage show.
Yeah.
What is that? Just a fancy way to say a comedy?
Yeah,
comedy
but
special?
in some ways it is.
Is
but
there-
in some ways, comedy, it does. Even though I hate to say this because I work it out at comedy clubs, so I'm like, hey, if it works at comedy clubs, there's really no distinction. The distinction only is that at comedy clubs, people expect a lot more sex talk, I feel.
Oh, interesting.
That's how I feel about comedy clubs. They expect more
Really?
sex. Because for whatever reason, we're programmed or whatever to say, I want to come out and I want to hear a little sex talk.
Yeah.
And you're just not doing sex talk.
I'm Irish, guys. If anybody should understand, you guys should.
We don't do sex.
Yeah. I mean, aren't you from like the North Bronx? Didn't you go to Fordham in North Bronx? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's really, it's so funny because I talk about, obviously as a comedian, you talk about sex in your act. When I tell you, when I talk about sex, I would say 80% of the shit I talk about, the crowd's just like,
You?
don't talk about that.
Really?
I'm like, you just heard people talk about eating ass for 20 minutes. This one's talking about jerking off and his sister. And I bring up some mild thing and they're like, whoa.
Hey, buddy, relax.
Because when
Is
you talk
that
about-
true, or you think that's in like,
No,
your own
no.
insecurity?
No.
There's a real reaction
I
like
want the
that?
sex shit to work. It's you have a guarantee, and then not all of it. No, some of it works, but as a general rule, I better hit and move along with that sex shit.
Wow.
And I don't know
That
if it's
is
them
funny.
or if it's,
It's
in my
literally all
Irish,
we talk about.
it's the somehow in the
Yeah.
Irish shame DNA.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I should not be doing this. This
Jesus is
fucking
watching.
ridiculous. Well, it's almost like you're like it's like your mother's going, "What the hell are you talking about that shit?" for?
Yeah.
5 years old?" You know what I mean? It's not like it's so ingrained.
Irish is such a funny response to
So,
that.
right? They just
We don't do sex.
yeah, like fucking talk. Like they're just like disgust. You know?
It is. It reminds me of the in 30 Rock, Jack Donaghy's mother. They're obviously very
Right.
Irish, and whenever he talks about sex, she always goes, "What are you, Italian?"
Oh, that's a good especially the mother thing. Like people talk about sex with their
Italians.
parents. No Irish. I can't imagine.
Oh my God. Oh
ever
my
do-
God.
Adam Sandler used to have one of the best jokes. This is back in the early days, late '80s. But his joke, and there's nothing better than a joke that's not really. It's clean. It's not like
Right.
graphic. It's not
Yeah,
just. But it's
yeah.
just. And he goes. Yeah. He goes. Anytime I was sick, he goes. My mother's putting Vicks vapor rub on my chest, and she's like, "Oh my God," I guess it was always that moment where I'm like, "Mom, we're just friends, right?" Oh God! And the other one he used to do,
Get a new
Jim.
room
He used
massage.
to do Jim Morrison. Do you ever hear him do that one?
No, what's that?
You know the famous thing, Father, Mother, I want to fuck you.
Yeah.
And he goes, Jim Morrison, Father, yes, son. He goes, I walk into the room or whatever, the doorway. Father, yes, son. I want to kill you. Mother, and he's playing the Doors thing in the background.
Yeah.
Yes, son. What is it, son? Nothing. What, son? What's the matter? Are you okay? I'm fine, mother. I'm fine. What's the matter? Why are you up so? Why are you in the doorway? Are you okay? She just goes into this whole mother character he used to do. I'm not doing the character.
Yeah.
It was so funny. The guy bails. Oh, I want to fight.
I remember being afraid, not afraid, but I was like, when I told my parents I was gonna have a kid, I was like, when they know I have sex, they're gonna know I had sex with
Yes,
someone,
and they feel it too,
Yeah.
right?
They're like,
It's
oh my
not-
God,
it's not just his
that means he
imagination.
came inside somebody. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
they're looking at it like, I wonder how many other. I mean, some people feel like that, but as a general rule, I feel like that's really an Irish thing.
Yeah. Oh, dude. As far as my parents are concerned, I'm a virgin.
Yeah,
Like they
I
have.
mean, and as we've gotten older, we'll talk about more, and we'll be a little more loose, but never that.
I actually
Never
was
that.
one time telling them I broke up with a girl. This is a while back, and it was like a messy breakup, and I was trying to explain to them how bad I felt about everything, and I was like, it's just so hard dealing with this kind of betrayal from someone.
That
And I'm eating dinner. I'm like, I've been intimate with.
And I gave my flower to.
I had no idea. This was I was late 20s.
Yes, of
I was an
course.
adult man.
Nobody understands this. We're like, of course.
I'll be on my deathbed, not being able to talk about it to my parents.
One of the bad ones, and this is mild to anybody else, but except the first part is, so my friend's father, we're 8 years old. My friend's father had this girlfriend that he would let I guess he wanted his sons to be healthy
Oh God.
sexually.
Yeah.
She'd let us see. She'd like flash her tits at us.
Oh
and stuff.
jeez.
Yeah.
It's cool for the friends.
What's that?
It's cool for the friends. I don't know about the sons. That's
I
weird.
don't know about the sons, but this girl was, by the way, unless I'm, just a little kid, rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, which
This
is-
happened with several of his girlfriends. This one was a killer.
Yeah.
So I kept going in, and going, hey, can I look again? Like, I kept coming back. Like, apparently I was, almost psychotic coming back in the bedroom.
Knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the next day,
How old are you? You think?
8.
8. Jesus
And my
Christ.
father comes and picked me up the next day. We walk across Prospect Park. But before we left, this other father, who's really my idol in life, he goes, your son's really interested in sex. He's like in a positive, like he's
Right.
one of these guys. Your son really likes it. And I could see my father was like, what the
Fuck.
That was the quietest. We didn't say a word to each other. The whole walk across the park. I mean, it was like a 45-minute walk. We didn't say one word. And we never discussed it the rest of our lives.
Dude, that needs to be a skit or in a movie. An 8-year-old kid, your son's into sex.
He was just really
But what do you mean? What do you mean, adult man?
Yeah, what do you know? How do you know this?
No, he explained to him what happened.
Oh, Jesus.
But it's just like the late 60s, so people can't let
Yeah,
shit
you're
slide.
doing that shit. Yeah.
But
do that now, you're going to
can
jail.
you imagine? Yeah, I know. Meanwhile,
right
this
to
guy was
prison.
the greatest guy of all
Yeah,
time.
you love them, right? Yeah.
No, not just me. Every one of our friends was like, we love
I'm sure,
and
bro.
all that. I mean, this guy was the greatest.
sure. Yeah.
He was like, hey, these kids are young. And in the grand scheme of things, it made sense.
Yeah.
Because we're like,
Yeah.
he knew like at that age, we were perfect. My brother, we brought up my younger brother, because my friend's younger brother was there too. My younger brother to this day, he goes, well, I didn't even know he wasn't there. He goes, I remember hearing you guys talk about that. He goes, my whole life, I've regretted that I was never there. And he goes, to this day, it still bothers me that I missed out. I remember.
Dude, I mean, you think about when, like, we would get, like, our hands on a Playboy.
Yes. This
And
was
that
live
was the
Playboy.
biggest deal. We were all 10 guys in the bathroom stall at the fucking ice skating rink sharing a
guy had
magazine. If we had a real life chick
This guy had another
showing
girl.
tits,
This guy had another girlfriend who was not as hot for, really shouldn't be judging, but she had a great body. And she was bucks. And he let us all feel her tits and her ass.
What?
Dude,
did any of these guys turn out to be perverts?
well, no, none of them were perverts.
Nobody. Yeah.
No, they
maybe,
won't
that's
just-
the key. Maybe you let some kids see some tits at 8.
I mean, look, everybody's into it.
Yeah.
If anybody was in the corner, like not enjoying, would probably be more
Right.
suspicious. But I mean, and my brother to this day, it was one of the nicest guys. He's like, I still regret. He goes, I remember you guys telling me about that. And I was like, what did I miss? I think he was sick. He was sick or something.
That's fucking incredible.
That reminds me
and he
of
was probably
my-
6.
Yeah.
No, maybe he was 7. I was 10. I don't know.
I had my birds and the bees talk probably around the same age.
Yeah.
And I remember it so clearly. Me and my dad were going to my aunt's house for like some summer barbecue in Sudbury, Mass. And we're driving there. I grew up from Fall River. We're driving from Fall River.
How old were you?
I was probably 8, probably around that age. And
Why did they have to have it so early, by the way?
I know. What the
Oh,
fuck,
dude.
man? My kids are almost that
early.
age. I'm not talking to them about sex. Fuck that.
And he was like, he's like, so like by now you've seen a pair of boobs before, and I was like, no, I haven't. And he's like,
Wow, we thought you were growing up with this guy's father.
and I was like, no, I haven't. And he's like, well, I mean, you've at least seen like a Playboy magazine before. And I was like, I haven't.
What a loser my kid is.
And then,
what a
and
fucking
it ended
dork.
Up, it ended up devolving into a fight, like him screaming at me. He's like, "Don't lie to me! I know you've seen boobs before." And I was like, "Dude, I don't know what to tell you." He's like, "At least some kid in your school has brought in a picture of boobs, and you've looked at them. Don't lie to me." And I was like, "Dad, I don't know. I'm not lying. I'm in 3rd grade. I've never seen boobs. I don't know."
Oh
what
my
the fuck to
God,
tell you.
it's great. That should be a movie scene.
Dude, and now that's probably why I'm so repressed about sex now. I'm like fine, I'll just never fucking talk about it ever again. How about that?
Oh my God.
Being Irish is a fucking it's a mental illness. Just being born into this group is a fucking mental illness.
And I
It's
always,
crazy.
when I've done a couple of shows in Ireland, and I go, and guess what? We're Irish. I go, and we know you don't like to let us be Irish. I go, you're like, you guys aren't Irish. I go, you can't stop us. We say it every day.
Yeah.
And you can't stop us.
What
Because
did
they're always
they
like,
say
you're
about
not
that?
Irish.
You're not
We
actually
don't give a
Irish.
fuck what
Yeah, we
you
say it all the time.
We suffer the slang. They don't understand. They get the the Catholicism is.
Yeah, if we're gonna get all the fucking all the bad stuff, we're gonna say it.
Yeah.
We're gonna get the credit for being Irish too.
Yeah.
Chris O'Connor has a great bit about that where he's talking about how like. He's like, no, he's like, I forget what there were 11 million Irish people in Ireland. He's like, there's 170 million Irish people outside Ireland. We're the Irish ones. You're fucking not.
God damn it.
He goes, what did he say?
true.
He goes, you guys are just protecting Disney World for when we want to come back. We had the balls to go out into the world.
That's hilarious. But I never even thought about it. How funny is that? There's 100 million outside and 11 million.
Yeah,
That's a great bit.
That is funny.
What is your? We had
great.
Shane was on recently and he was talking about.
Oh, he gets one name now.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking that too. Shane, like Kobe. We just know who he is now. But you did know.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
did
yeah.
know. You didn't say Shane who.
You're right. There's no other Shane.
Yeah, it's Madonna. We have Madonna on, and he was talking about watching like just going back to Louis' office and watching like their favorite sketches, and just kind of going back and forth, passing back and forth. And what would be like one of your favorite sketches of all time? Not sketches, but bits.
Then go back and watch.
Come back to my office and we'll watch Gets together. They were showing boobs.
Favorite sketches of what?
Of just
Just all-time comics. They were just watching like they would put on Bernie Mac and they put on.
Oh, stand up.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
what do you
watch the
sketch?
sketches.
That's
I don't
for
watch
me.
the sketches.
What's the greatest for you? Because Shane was very high on Bernie Mac. He was like, not a lot of people will say that that's like the best ever, but he was, I think,
Shane-
one of his.
Was it Milk and Cookies by Bernie Mac?
Yeah, I think he was like, he was just like, it hit every fucking joke.
First of all, he doesn't have to say not everyone's going to say it like he's the.
No, I put words in his mouth there. I know Shane's gonna hear me from on that one. I didn't say that, you fucking pussy.
I would say, I mean, a couple of Chris Rock's bits and Green of Pain.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, there's so I would, obviously George